If it doesn't say Micro Machines, it's not the real thing. Now, that was a slogan that burst onto our televisions in 1987 when John Machita Jr. brought Micro Machines to the world. These were a range of small resin miniatures introduced in 1987, and they were produced in one form or another right up until I think it must have been about 2006. I collected Micro Machines from about 1988 to about 1991, and I was very pleased to be able to find on eBay from America a collection still in its packaging. Now, this is exactly how I remember them. Being blister packaging, once it was opened, the packaging, it was put straight into the bin. So these examples are quite rare, quite hard to get a hold of. As I say, I had to go to eBay in America. So let's take a little look at the back of the box to see all the different collections. Now, this particular box dates from 1988. So on the back, it shows you all the different collections of Micro Machines that you could get at the time. So we'll focus in a little bit on these. Now, my very first collection of Micro Machines was actually the Hot Rod collection. Let's see if we can find it on the back here. There it is there. Hot Rod collection, number 1. Now, the colours of mine were actually slightly different. Mine was actually an earlier one. Lots of different collections of Micro Machines to cater for pretty much everybody's taste. You've got the Rally Racers collection, which was one of my favourites because it had European cars in it. There was also another European collection here. So they had things like, there's a little Jaguar and a Lamborghini. You could also get American cars, classics. There were also military collections, boats, monster trucks, planes. I think latterly there were also motorbikes as well. Now, my absolute favourite, and we'll have a look at these a little bit closer in a minute, was the deluxe collections. Now, initially, there were 4 collections, and the one I had was this one. So you got a Lamborghini Countach, Ferrari Testarossa, and a Mercedes Gullwing, and a friend had this one with the vintage cars in it. We'll show you these deluxe ones a little bit more in a second, but they had opening doors, hoods, and trunks. Absolutely fantastic at such a tiny scale. I'll show you how small they really are when we have some loose ones to show you, and you'll see them in my hand. There were also play sets available. I had a couple of these. These were absolutely fantastic. So you could get things like sort of an everyday scene, which had a residential, retail, and construction. There's a service station, and there's an airport. I think this collector's card may be a little bit out of date now. 31st of December 1988. No, I'm out of time. Onto the front of the box. You can see that it's very nicely presented indeed. So this was collection 2. So let's have a look on the back. Yeah, that's this one here. Different variations of colours over the years. So this is collection 2. So there's a Porsche 911 Turbo, a Corvette, and a Jaguar E-Type. You can see they're displayed with all their features opening. I'm not going to take these out of the box, absolutely not. These are very hard to find, still boxed up like that. Let's go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look at some Micro Machines which are not in their boxes. So what you can see here is a sort of cross section of Micro Machines that were produced. All different kinds. Now, early ones, such as this Jaguar XJS, are kind of caricatures of the cars, really. I absolutely love that. That's what attracted me to them. You can see it's got a sort of stubby tail. These were made in 1987, this particular one. It's part of the original European collection. There was another European collection that came out, and it was had a burgundy Jaguar in it. This one here, again, another early collection. This is from the Rally Racers collection. This is a Mercedes. It's a rally front bumper. In the following year, 1988, they introduced the Deluxe collection, which is what the boxed one is that I showed you earlier. So here's one that's loose. Let's try and focus in on it. That's the hardest part. Focusing in on it. There we go. Look at that. Everything opens. These bodies were plastic rather than resin. But look at that. You can even see inside the engine. Just bear in mind, look how small that is when you hold it away. See if we can focus in on it. Look how small that is in my hand. This is one of my favourites, and this is the only one that's actually survived my original collection. Well, this one and that gold one in the background there. All the rest were either bought from eBay. My brother had a few as well that he gave me. Ferrari F40. I'm glad this one survived. I'll focus in once I've opened all the doors. It's really hard to focus in, they're so small. There we go. See the engine and everything. Fantastic. This one here, I'll focus in on that. That's a Sierra. That's actually got a pullback motor in it. This is a presidential limousine. Now, later ones, after about 1994, they became less of a caricature of a car and more of an actual small-scale replica. Let's try and focus in. So this is a Datsun. So as you can see, apart from the wheels, the proportions of it are actually a lot more true to the real car. Now, I remember there was a Ford Mustang in the Hot Rod collection, and it was very stubby and really cool, but stubby. Whereas this is a later Mustang, which is the saloon or coupe version. Not sure what you sedan, whatever you call it. And you can see the proportions are a lot more true to the real car, with just the wheels being kind of cartoon-like. And the last one is a little Mazda MX-5 as well. I got these ones from my brother. These were kind of beyond my, after I stopped collecting micro machines and didn't take an interest in them again until maybe about 7 or 8 years ago. A couple of years ago, there was also a book produced about micro machines called Micro But Many. So let's take a look at that. So as I was saying, a couple of years ago, there was a book produced by an avid collector of micro machines that I do follow on Facebook. They must have just about every micro machine ever made. They decided to produce a curatory type book documenting their collection. Also within the book is a very detailed history and photographs of the history of micro machines. Now, I won't give too much away about the book, you'll have to see for yourself, but it was a family business, Lewis, Galoob and Company, up until I think it was about 1990, when it was bought over by Hasbro. Up until then, yep, family business, really interesting, and it has a foreword by who was known as the fast-talking man, John Machita Jr. So this gentleman was the voice of the Micro Machines adverts. I won't try and replicate his voice, so only he can do that. So that was him in the adverts, that's him now, and he did the foreword, which was really, really nice little touch. And here's the very first Micro Machines collection. I mentioned about that earlier. So this was the Hot Rod collection that I had. I didn't actually know it was the first ever collection, but there we go, I remember it well. And there's that stubby Mustang I was telling you about. And that's the only one I've got left. As you can see, it should have had an engine. The book details lots of other different micro machines, which you'll see. There's that Ferrari F40 there. It's even got the mirrors missing, just like mine. I think I had that little MG as well. It's really, really good for someone who maybe collected micro machines back in the day, and you can see all the different ones that you used to have, and the ones that you maybe lost, or the ones that you maybe still have. The other thing the book looks at, not to forget, an important part of playing with micro machines is the play sets. So I had a couple of play sets, don't know what happened to them. One of mine was a sort of a jumbo jet that opened up. I think the one that most people had, it was a van that opened up. As you can see here, this one's based in sort of a residential scene. Really fun to play with. I remember playing with them well. I've tried to look for my play sets up my parents' loft, but I think they're gone. And then as you go towards the back, it tells you a little bit about the family history of the manufacturing of micro machines in the early days. Lots of really good pictures that no one else would ever see. It's a lovely book. If you're a fan of Micro Machines, I would absolutely recommend it. It's really nicely made. It's got a kind of holographic front cover as well. So if you're looking to try and get some of these are quite hard to find on eBay boxed. I went to eBay America. They seem to be more readily available and less collectible over in America for some reason. This one still got its original Kmart price tag on it. You can usually get ones like these loose for maybe about $5 each, which is probably the same amount that the whole set used to cost back in the day. I think I got that one, that one, that one, and that one from eBay, and I think each they were probably a couple of pounds each, maybe £3. So a nice little piece of history there for anyone who was a kid in the late 80s and early 90s. Thanks.